pixel people pod. Zap, 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 it's on. Rewind the future fraud. The pixel people pod.
And we're back. We're back live. Episode 5, finally. I'm Greg.
And I'm his awesome wife, Jan.
Yes, she is. Normally it would be Greg, Chris, and Janalyn, but tonight it's Greg, Jan, and Chris will be calling in because we have one of the things we talk about tonight he has a personal interest in. So we'll just put it that way. So originally this episode was going to be on high school band and extracurricular activities when Janalyn was involved. But she's in high school band right now and in the middle of high school extracurricular activities, and getting her here to record is almost impossible.
And I was never in high school band.
Yeah.
So.
But you played extracurricular, you played sports.
Yeah, tennis.
Yeah, she was tennis. So, I mean, that would have counted.
It barely counted.
Yeah. But getting her when she's not practicing and getting a 14-year-old girl to want to come over here and sit and record a podcast when she's not over here normally is impossible. So
yeah, maybe you should have thought this out a little bit better.
Yeah, I know. But we have Jan, which this thing might end up just being me and you anyway, since we're the founders and proprietors of the Pixel Underground.
Absolutely.
PixelUnderground.com if you want to go and check out some new things we put up on there. And we picked up a couple new things this week, thanks to Chris and Johnsy. Tell them what we have, the main thing they got us.
We have an A-team.
Board game. Yeah,
Mhm.
from the original from the 80s. And Chris saw it at a yard sale and told us that, I didn't get it because it had a tear on the corner. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? We're not collecting mint items from the 80s. It can be a little rough worn.
And so now I think they both know that if they see anything, they are required to buy it.
Yes. And it turns out it's in like 85% great quality. It is all
Yeah,
the
I can't
pieces are there.
complain.
Yeah. So it was a good pickup. And we got a Gizmo doll from 1985, an original that I'd put the picture up. It's on the Pixel Underground Facebook page right now, but we're looking for some more Gremlin gear. But anyway, so this week I decided we would do it on brands and stores, just anything that was big as a child of the 80s that we remember that pretty much doesn't exist now, or if it does exist, it's in its last dying days. And the first thing I thought of, I think I saw a commercial for breakfast or something. It hit me that one thing that was big as us here in North Carolina and the South in general, Shoney's and Shoney's breakfast bar.
Well, you were special because I never got Shoney's breakfast bar as a kid.
Well,
I didn't get that until I was in my 20s.
Well, I didn't. I mean,
It was around.
Yeah.
But, you know,
but
four
Shoney's
kids
as
in
a
the family,
whole
we didn't
was
go
like
there.
Shoney's as a whole was like big. I mean, Shoney's restaurants are everywhere. So I looked it up, and they started as part of Big Boy Restaurants in 1952, which explains why they used to have Shoney's Big Boy, and you'd see Big Boy Restaurants, but then you'd see the Shoney's that had the Big Boy mascot out front. And it turns out it was the same chain. So in 1998, it peaked with over 1,800 locations. And can you guess how many locations there are left in North America now?
8.
58.
I was close.
Which sounds like a lot, but when you're at 1,800 at one point, you're down to 58. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is.
But I will say, as somebody who loved him some breakfast, when I was going to community college on Fridays, I know for 1 year on Fridays, or at least a semester, I had a late class, like 9 o'clock or 9:30 on a Friday. So I would sometimes go at like 8:30 and just stop at Shoney's and get a newspaper and get the breakfast bar and sit in the corner with my newspaper and read my sports and news and relax before I went to school. That was so nice. But
nice to know you had time to do that before college.
Well, yeah, you'd already graduated by the time I was going to. Yeah, because I'd switched. Jan went to school for graphic arts.
I also commuted 45 minutes one way.
Yeah, she went to Isothermal Community College, the greatest 2-year, what do you call it, degree in
commercial graphics.
Yeah, commercial graphics. I was going to Taba Valley Community College for 2 years for commercial art and graphics, and we actually did a field trip to Isothermal because it was way better than what we had at CVCC, which might have been a little bit of why I dropped out, but I dropped out and switched to computer programming, which worked out good for me. But yeah, uh, that was. Plus, I remember me and the youth of our church in the 80s that we started having on Easter Sunday sunrise breakfast the church put together. And after the first year or two, me and my best friend Eric and my brother and Eric's sister Deanna and a bunch of us would just say, we're not eating this church breakfast. We pile in and drive to Morganton, North Carolina to the Shoney's and eat the breakfast bar. I mean, that was like a cool thing. We did that for years.
Yeah,
So,
I never got to do that.
yeah, okay. Yeah. You're going to hear a lot from Jan. I didn't get to do that. So, yeah. So that one got me thinking. So that got me looking into restaurants that I remember being big in the 80s. And one of them that I never ate at, but I remember as a kid going into Hickory, North Carolina, where I'm from. You didn't have this. You probably obviously went to Shelby and stuff, right? So
Yes.
yeah, that's like polar opposite of Hickory. But in Hickory, the shining example of, hey, you're rich and you know it. This is the 80s. Steak and ale. They had a steak and ale in Hickory. If you went to a steakhouse as middle class like we were, it was Western Steer or Western Sizzler. It was a Sizzler. Yeah, go the Sizzler. And you get a piece of steak that's like, shoe leather. So,
There again, I never
yeah,
went to a
okay, yeah,
steakhouse either.
yeah. Well, you went to Western Steer though, didn't you?
Not as a kid, no.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
Well, but Western Steer was like, okay, it's not a great steakhouse, but it was one that the average family could afford. Steak and Ale, that was the fancy steak restaurant. There might have been a fancy one, the Charlotte and Hickory, but the Steak and Ale, when you saw that, you was like, man, that's where the rich people go. So I looked up on Steak and Ale. It was founded in 1966, and I found out something about it that I never knew that I found very interesting. In cities where you were not allowed to promote alcohol, it had a separate name called the Jolly Ox. So same
What a
same
name.
restaurant, same layout, same company, but hey, you can't put ale on the sign. All right, we're the Jolly Ox. Which that makes no sense. What?
How many times have you ever seen a Jolly Ox?
Yeah, I know. I've never seen an ox, but I mean, what? That makes no sense. Especially if an ox, if you're promoting steak, you're probably not very jolly as an ox because you're probably dead. But I always thought it was bigger than that. But I guess it's for discerning rich people, so it wasn't like massed all over. At this peak, it only had 280 locations, but spread across the country, I guess that's a pretty big deal. There is one location left in North America.
Can you say road trip?
Yeah, that was as of 2024. It might even be gone now.
What
But
state?
I couldn't find. I didn't spend that time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't delve into it that much to figure out what state. But
Now I must find out.
so yeah. So to go off, but wait a minute. Let's spin before we get back off of food and go to another establishment. You brought up something that I didn't know. Tell us. The corn dog place.
So at the Cleveland Mall in Shelby, there was a corn dog 7.
Yeah.
Which I thought was nationwide. I'm not sure.
Well, it was a big, massive chain. I looked it up. Corn Dog 7. There's still some of them around in malls that are, if whatever mall is still standing. But I could not find out anything on a parent company. It was like, I don't know. I know it existed. I saw pictures, and I guess Shelby was lucky to have a Corn Dog 7. So
Yellow. I think
it was yellow.
yellow.
And had
Mhm.
corn dog and then the number 7 next to it. Did you eat there?
Yes, I did get to eat
okay.
there.
Was it,
Not until I was about 13 or 14, though.
oh, okay. Was it good
I
corn
didn't
dogs?
see them all
Were they
until
good
I was
corn
13
dogs?
or 14. Yeah.
Would you
it's-
fight them over State Farm or like State Fair? Sorry, State Fair corn dogs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were better than the
Okay.
State Fair.
I only know State Fair because we sold those in vending. I never was a big corn dog guy.
Oh, corn dogs with mustard?
Yeah, it's not my thing. I'll still eat it. They're good, but I mean, it's like I don't go out of my way. But yeah, we didn't have one of those in the mall at Shelby. I mean, in Hickory. I'm trying to think of the chain stuff in Hickory. We had a Chick-fil-A and we had a
Annabelle's.
yeah, that was a full sit down restaurant though. Remember the movie Mallrats, Kevin Smith? The food court is different than so. But yeah, so getting off the food part right there, one of them that I thought of a store that it was like my dream store in the 80s. There was the closest one was in Gastonia, North Carolina for a long time, and again, this probably wasn't one you spend a lot of time at, but Circuit City. Circuit City was like my jam. I'm an electronics guy, and you go in there and it's like walking into like heaven. look at that big 27-inch TV over there. One day I'm gonna be rich enough to own a 27-inch television.
Well, I didn't have a Circuit City growing up. I
Yeah.
mean, there may have been one, but I can't remember going in one. But I had Sky City.
Yeah. Well, we had one of those in Hickory too. Yeah.
Sky City was
Sky
it.
City was sort of like yeah, they were competing with Walmart and
And
Kmart and
Kmart.
Roses. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they had a little bit of everything. But the Circuit City though, you go in there and they had records, well, cassettes and CDs by the time I was in there. But
But so did Sky City.
yeah, but they had stereos, high-end stereos, televisions, any kind of electronics you could think of. And you went in there and told them, "This is what I want." They're like, and the employees got paid commission, so they were pushing stuff. But I remember probably 84, 85 maybe. I wanted like a hi-fi system for my bedroom so bad. And mom and dad got one for Christmas. We got it at Circuit City. I got to pick it out. It was a Sony.
I'm going to pretend I know what that means.
It's a it's a stereo, that is in a case with a glass door on it, with the two tower speakers, and it's got the record player and a cassette player, equalizer, like a hi-fi system.
High five.
Yeah,
Okay.
high
High
fidelity.
five. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I'll show you a picture one later. So we'll put one on the Pixel Underground Facebook page. So when you made your purchase there, you told them what you wanted. You filled out the paperwork. They sent it to the back, and it had this long, I'm trying to think what you call it, roller setup. We had those in vending, and I can't remember what they're called now. Just a roller, and
Like a conveyor belt?
yeah, conveyor belt. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm glad you're
You're
here.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And there would be like the flaps, and then out of the warehouse, the conveyor belt. You guys say go over there and wait. You paid for everything. Here come your thing rolling down a conveyor belt. They push through the thing, and there's your stereo. That was. And then we eventually got one in Hickory, and I would go there and buy records again. I keep calling records CDs, cassettes. We had it, I know, into the late '90s. It's still there. It was a Spirit Halloween store for a long time. Now it's Harbor Freight in Hickory, but they had the big red block, Circuit City written on the front of it. It looked like a charging block, but their slogan was "Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state of the art." I can still hear that in my head. But it got surpassed by Media Play came around in Hickory, and they had a lot of like CDs, books, movies. You wasn't going to Circuit City to get a CD anymore.
So was Circuit City considered better than Radio Shack?
Yeah, Circuit City was like a retail chain selling like Circuit. Okay, let me tell you what killed Circuit City: Best Buy. It was a Best Buy, and I did read that Circuit City, I think wanted to buy Best Buy at some point, but they decided not to, and then Best Buy put them out of business. So
I did go in a Radio Shack back in
yeah,
the day.
well, it's on the list because I was thinking of stores that I loved, but yeah, Circuit City was founded in 1949, and uh, they could have bought Best Buy in 1988, but didn't, and by 2008 they were totally bankrupt. So they've been gone for 17 years now, but they were dead before that. I mean, like I say, Best Buy killed them. So the next one on my list I'm not going to yet because we're going to call Chris to discuss that. So we'll go to Radio Shack. So Radio Shack, come on.
I did go in a Radio
Yeah.
Shack.
What would you as a woman, child of the 80s, adult of the 90s, what would you purchase at Radio Shack?
I didn't purchase anything. I just went in there to see what dudes were in there.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Well, you didn't find any. Good thing you didn't because they'd be bankrupt too now. But yeah, Radio Shack for me as a tech guy. I mean, I'm not a great tech guy, but I love technology stuff. So I would go in there and just spend hours I could looking at the wires and the connectors and all this stuff in there. I mean, they the Tandy brand was their brand. You could buy the Tandy products in there, but I bought, God, I bought so much stuff in Radio Shack. Eh, You need a cable? I've got cables here I use to hook up this podcast equipment. I've been buying them off Amazon. Just a little cable that cost me like $3. I bought off Amazon. But if this had been 20 years ago, I'd have just drove to Hickory at Radio Shack and bought it. Because I would always buy splitters for headphones, little stuff like that. Satellite wire. I remember one time, me and my friend Matt was running the satellite to my house, and he helped me, and we spent like 2 hours running it, setting up the DirecTV dish, ran it in the house, could not get a signal. Worked on it for 2 hours on a Friday night. It was almost getting dark. It's like 7 o'clock. realized I bought 100 feet of the wrong cable that would not work with DirecTV. So he jumped in his Suzuki Samurai
Woo,
and
Suzuki.
and flew to the Hickory Radio Shack and ran in there and bought 100 feet of RG6 cable, which I needed, and ran out there and replaced it and got a signal immediately. But if it was not for Radio Shack, I'd have been up the creek.
That Samurai is probably still running somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. He should have never got rid of the Samurai. Yeah. Traded it in for a Jeep. Blasphemy. So Matt would probably agree with me. He should have kept the Samurai. People still here with us. So shout out to Matt. Uh, yeah, Radio Shack. I was looking at it. It filed Chapter 11 in 2015. It was established in 1921, but it peaked in 1999 with over 8,000 stores. It has 6 remaining now.
Oh, that's so sad.
But somebody's bought the name, and I think that they're thinking about bringing it back. So, you never know. So this brings me to the next store, and we have a special call in for this one because he actually worked at this store. And say hello to Chris, our usual co-host. Chris, say hello.
Hello, this is Chris.
Hey.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
So we've talked about so far about Shoney's. Do you have any remembrance of Shoney's?
Oh, I just remember walking into Shoney's and the bear statue would be right outside the door.
Yeah.
And then you get the free suckers.
Yeah. Do you remember Circuit City, or was that before your time?
Circuit City, yep. Used to be off 70. And then it turned, let's see. Why was Circuit? Was it? I was thinking it's where it used to be, did it turn into Media Play?
No, Media Play was another one. It became, Circuit City became Spirit Halloween for years in Hickory, and then now it's the Harbor Freight.
Yeah, it was over there with Harbor Freight. Yep, yeah, that's right. Yep.
So
yeah, I remember Circuit City. It was like a glorified Radio Shack.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
Combined Radio Shack / Best Buy. So
yeah.
Okay, which brings us up to the next store. The next thing from the 80s, it was huge in the 80s. Every mall in America, you have an anchor store, they call it, in a mall, which is the main store, and then everything else sort of leads out or into it. And the main anchor store in most malls was Sears and Roebuck. So,
yep.
You know a little bit more about Sears than the rest of us, because tell us why.
I worked at Sears from, I'd say, 2010 to 2012 or 13.
Yep. So you saw it from the inside as it's in its dying days, I guess. But, it was still, what would you say? It was still pretty popular when you were working there? Or was it slowly dying?
I would still say it was functioning. As far as the store itself, I think company-wise, they were branching out. They were adding, beds to the mix. They were adding just kind of new stuff to sell. I sold electronics, so they were starting to clear out a section to start selling mattresses and beds and stuff like that. They started this Blue Crew movement where, anybody wearing a blue shirt was either selling your appliances or your electronics, and they're supposed to be pretty much like the Geek Squad.
You were an expert.
That Best Buy has.
You get a brown shirts at retail.
You were an expert then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's what they wanted you to think anyway. I'm trying to think. I mean, Craftsman was huge for them. I mean, you always had people coming in for Craftsman. You had somebody in there.
I was taught at an early age, like from my grandfather, Craftsman, best tools money can buy. If you break one, take it back and replace it for the life. So that was a big selling point.
We had a man named Alan, who coincidentally actually was one of the instructors at Jess's dance studio over here. But he would actually, if you had like a socket wrench that went bad, you would take it, and they would take it to the back and give it to Alan. Alan would fix it on the spot.
Alan
send it back
would
out.
fix the Allen wrench.
Socket wrench, but yeah, Allen wrench, yeah.
So Jan,
you're supposed to go with it.
Jan, what are your memories of Sears?
Well, I remember Sears in Shelby, but it was not in the mall. It was a little building uptown Shelby.
Really? Oh, so it was a standalone
It
Sears.
was a standalone.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually in a group of buildings.
See,
but-
my memories of Sears was that would be how we entered the mall when I was a kid. The new mall in Hickory. There was the original Catawba Mall, which turns out is the ghetto mall.
And what
as
year
a
was
kid.
this?
This was in the '80s at Valley Hills Mall, but you would go in the
And
early
you were
'80s.
how old?
Yeah, it was early '80s. I mean, yeah, older than you probably went into Sears, but or younger than you. But you walk in there, there's the Sears. They had the auto repair place right there. I mean, they were Walmart before. They were Super Walmart before Super Walmart existed. You know?
Which that Sears Auto Center had the Sears name, but it was completely separate.
Yeah, but I mean, it was part.
It was
It was built into it at the mall here in Hickory. I mean, I know it's run by
Yeah.
probably a separate, is leased the name out, but yeah, but I mean, you had take your car to the Sears repair shop, walk in the double doors right there, and they had the clothing section. But I remember, I can still remember this. They had like a kiosk in the center, a big kiosk, and they sold like nuts and candy and stuff, and like they would roast nuts, like roasted peanuts, roasted pecans. You could smell it throughout the store, and candy you buy it by the bag. This was in the '80s
Yeah.
in there before they eventually did away with that. I'm sure by the '90s, but I mean, you had everything in there. I'll go to the toy section while mom's looking at clothes, and then you go downstairs and hey, let's go look at the lawnmowers, and you go over here. It was huge.
I
Yeah,
honestly
I
don't
said-
think
I
I
said
got to
that
see
about-
them all until I was about 13.
Yeah, that's sad.
I said that about the auto center because the auto center, a lot of people thought just because you went to the auto center that it was part of Sears. So if they had a problem with what went on at the auto center, they would try to go to the store manager of Sears.
Yeah,
Fully separate. So the auto center had their own like person that was over the auto center.
Right.
That's who you go to.
but
That's
Sears,
it.
Sears owned it though.
No, not really. It was kind of like it was almost kind of like a contracted thing to
Yeah.
where they just had agreement like they could be under the umbrella. That's
Yeah.
why they took Sears cards. That's why people wore Sears uniforms and stuff like that.
Subsidiary.
But
A subsidiary of Sears, maybe.
yeah, it's something like that. But branching off of that, so you were talking about when you used to walk in there. So whenever I used to walk in there, we'd go through where it used to be, I think where the ladies section was before they closed, used to be the kids section. And that would actually be the auto center side.
Yeah.
You walk in there and it would be the kids closed. So anytime my parents, really just my mom, my dad never went, but they take us to the mall, mom wanted to go shopping. So while she went shopping, we got to stay in that kids area because in the kids area, they had a PlayStation
Oh,
hooked
wow.
up.
Yeah.
And
It's a
then they
kid's
had
dream.
It was the '90s.
yeah. Now they might have had a different setup in the 80s.
Yeah. I
But I
don't remember,
remember-
but I mean, I'm sure they probably had an Atari 2600 set up in there. Because I mean, Sears was like, say, the golden, the store, and yeah, I remember if your store big enough, there was 3 stores at the Hickory Mall that had their own escalators in it, and that was
Yeah.
Sears, J.C. Penney, which is still open and has escalators, but it's barely hanging on, and then Belk, and they had their escalators in it. Those was but Sears was the anchor store in the Hickory Mall. So
I wonder, Nintendo was 80s though, right?
Yeah, late '80s.
So I bet they had Nintendo there at one point.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
But
But my
Because,
mom,
I mean,
my
they-
mom didn't just dump me off. I had to go with my mom. And she would say, "You stay in here. I'm going shopping." drugged me to
your
every
mom
store.
loved you, so
Yeah.
you know.
We edit that out. Yeah.
No, come on.
Hey, at least your mom's took you to a mall.
Yeah. Jan didn't see them all until she was a teenager. So
Well, she's
then-
kind of forced.
and
you know,
Jan,
if you
tell
had a
everybody why
babysitter,
you-
what else you gonna do?
tell everybody why you went to the mall.
Because there was a store at the mall that sold jams and things like that. Not jams and jellies.
Jams and jellies.
Jams
jellies and
as
jams.
in beach shorts.
The
Yeah.
pants.
Yeah.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
like
because
the
there's a
MC
guy
Hammer.
that
There
worked
was
on
a
the-
surfer
yeah.
dude that
Yeah.
worked in there.
Yeah.
Turns out it was Luke Edwards, the lead
Yeah.
singer for Animal Bag.
Yeah, who went on to get played on MTV and have a pretty big record
Yeah.
out in the
So
early 90s.
it was a huge deal to
Who?
walk by that store and
Luke
see if you
Edwards.
could see him.
Who's he a member of?
His
Band
band,
member of?
Animal Bag. They had a hit in the early '90s.
Yep.
Played on MTV and stuff. They used to be on Headbangers Ball.
Yep.
I
And he
played-
the
worked
name.
at the Cleveland Mall in
Yeah.
Shelby.
And I played a music festival with his other band. about 7 or 8 years ago. So,
Okay.
but yeah, so yeah, I just went because of the music stores and stuff. And by the late '80s, you just go to hang out, and see your friends. I had my friend Shay worked at West End, or West Deal, I think it was, made fancy men's clothes, and you'd have to go into the. This totally got into a mall topic instead of stores. You have to go into Spencer's Gifts. We'll have to do a mall episode before we ramble on too much on this.
Hey, was KB Toys? Was it
Yeah,
80s?
yeah, and we'll bring that up.
Oh, dude,
Put a pin in that.
KB
Put a pin
Toys.
in that. Don't give it away. We'll put that on the next podcast.
As far as another restaurant, was Quincy's 80s
Yeah.
or just 90s?
No, it's 70s, 80s, and 90s before it died off. But that
Because I
became
remember
the
Quincy's.
yeah. But it
Yeah.
was big. Quincy's probably peaked in the late. Did you ever go to Quincy's, Jen?
No.
Quincy's was even okay. We had Western Steer and
Golden
the
Corral.
Sizzler, but Quincy's was sort of like the fancier Western Steer. It's like, they had the yeast rolls, a little fancier than Western Steer. Yeah, and then Golden
I would
Corral.
say Quincy was more or less I think it was more or less the fancier Golden Corral, if you ask me.
I think but Golden Corral sort of killed them. I think they're the ones put them out of business. So.
Well, yeah, I mean everything has its doom, I guess. But
Yep.
I mean, I feel like back in those days, it was the fancier Golden Corral. Probably, I probably liked it more. I wish I have a Quincy's around here more than the Golden Corral. But
I'm gonna do one more before we let you go, and because I want
Okay.
I want your thoughts on this, or you won't remember this, but as somebody who's into more of this than Jan, you'll probably appreciate this. I don't know if Jan would even remember this. There was a shoe and like a footwear brand called LA Gear. You ever heard of that?
Of course, I remember
Yes.
LA Gear.
Yeah.
I remember
Really?
their logo because it was bright colors.
Yeah. So you've heard of that, Chris?
oh yeah, yeah.
So it was founded in 1983, and sorry, my alarm went off there. So that was very unprofessional. So, LA Gear was founded in 1983, and I mean, in the 80s, it was Nike and Reebok, and like you had the comers and goers like Puma, Adidas. Adidas was big for a long time, but LA Gear came out of nowhere in '83, and by the early '90s, they were the number 3 shoe brand behind Nike and Reebok. That's how big they got,
Mm.
and they had Karl Malone, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon all rep their shoes in the NBA, which I didn't remember. I remember Kareem did because he was my favorite player, but I didn't remember him being that big. And so I was doing research on LA Gear, and the funny thing about this is by the early '90s, by 1990, they were that big, number 3. 2 years later, they lose half of their market share. They like are plunging toward bankruptcy, and the founder, the board forces him out. So he was like, well, his name was Robert Greenberg. He left in 1992. They're like, you got to go. You're killing the company. He's like, okay, I'll leave. So he leaves, and 2 years later, he starts another shoe company, and LA Gear's out of business. He starts his own shoe company to stick it to them, and it's called Skechers.
Ah,
So that guy, I think he proved to him, who the genius was behind it. It wasn't the board, it was him, because Skechers is huge now.
What a
So,
great
what
way to
about
prove your point.
Converse?
yeah. That's a great way to prove your point. Is to go out and say, okay, I'll just start another massive shoe company.
Hey, what about Converse? Was that not
Yeah,
started in the 80s?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
they were big.
They were big. They were the number 1 shoe company up until 1985, and then
Okay.
Nike was nothing. They were big, but they were for runners. There's a great movie watch called Air, I think it is, about the Air Jordans. What's his name? Matt Damon and Ben Affleck did a movie. Watch it. It's on Amazon. It was. Everyone, listen to this. If you want to watch an awesome movie, watch that because you see how Air Jordans came about. And Air Jordans put Converse basically out of business, and Nike owns Converse now. And
Oh, I didn't know
Air
that.
Jordan, yeah, Michael Jordan and Air Jordans killed Converse.
I can remember wanting a pair of Converse.
I
in
can
the
remember
80s,
wanting a
but I
pair of
didn't
Air
get any.
Jordans, and Mom saying, "I'm not paying $65 for no daggone pair of shoes." And I saved some of my allowance, and eventually, about a year after they came out, I had the knockoff Cougar Air Jordans. I took a bullying over that. You did, as a boy in the '80s, you got bullied the most for your shoes. That's just how. I don't know what girls got bullied over, but if you were not wearing cool shoes, you got bullied.
I don't think that I ever had a pair of name brand shoes.
Well, I mean, I had Nike. I mean, I'm Cougar, but I might have had a cheap pair of Nikes. But when I saved up and bought my Air Jordans, that was it.
Chris, did
If
you
you
get
would have seen
bullied
my
over your
old school
shoes?
pictures,
Yeah,
if you,
Chris, what was the brand that you had to have when you're?
well, I was gonna say, if you see my old school pictures, there were plenty of things to pick from to bully me over. The shoes were the least of my problems.
Yeah, but what
But
was the big pair you had to have?
man, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know. A lot of my shoes were hand me downs.
Yeah,
Same.
I think at some point Vans came into the
yeah,
mix.
Vans. Yeah,
I guess Nike's Reebok pumps.
yeah, pumps.
Even as a
I
kid,
had a pair of pumps.
anything that had any shoe that lit up as a real young kid, I wanted.
That was
Uh,
way beyond our time. Yeah, you wasn't having those back
so
then.
that was the hot thing. I think then they came out with the shoes that had the skate that turned into skates.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot
But yeah, I mean,
you're way younger than us. So,
Back in our day, we actually had to get on a skateboard.
yeah, yeah, we didn't have
yeah.
built-in skates. So,
But then again, that was towards the end of my childhood. Oh, but talk about another store, and I would ask you because you would know. Amazing Heroes, was that 80s or just 90s?
that was 80s, but see, that wasn't a chain or anything like I'm talking about this podcast. But for people that are listening, it was a comic book store in Hickory, North Carolina, and they were down in like on downtown, and they moved to the mall. And when you walked in, the game room was on the right, Amazing Heroes on the left, and I would buy. They had hats and stuff in there originally, and I would buy like my Adidas hats because I was down with Adidas because Run DMC, and but you could buy baseball cards and all kinds of stuff in there. But that wasn't a chain. That was just somebody opened it up. It stayed going
Okay.
till the 2000s, but that wasn't a
Something
chain.
else that might have else been a chain. How about the mall CD store? I don't remember the name of it,
The mall
but
city,
every
the
mall you went to had some kind of CD store.
disc
Correct?
jockey, music eye. Yeah, we had record bar. We had
Record bar.
yeah those are the and I might have to do. There'll definitely be a podcast coming up on that over how people of mine and Jan's generation got hosed because, well, Jan will tell you, no, I couldn't buy them. But when I first got into music, I was into vinyl records. And then, hey, here comes cassettes. So I get to buy the same album I had on vinyl on cassette. And then roll into the 90s, hey, nobody makes cassette players anymore. You got to buy that same record on CD.
First car I ever drove had a 8-track in it.
Yeah. If you were
Nice.
even 10 years or older than us, you were into 8-track, and then they actually made record players that put in your car.
I only
some
had
point.
about like 3 or 4 8-tracks that I could play in that
I had a
car.
crap ton of 8-tracks years ago, but it was my grandfather's gospel 8-tracks. So yeah, they're gone now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any stories about 8-tracks, but I will say, walking into the music store, and every store I feel like from my childhood, I have some kind of memory which made it exciting. Sears was the gaming system they could play. Then obviously KB Toys had its own thing, and then the music store. My favorite thing to do. So when I was a kid, I love like WWF volume CDs that had like all the entrance music,
Yeah.
intros for
You're
the,
so
the
young.
wrestlers.
You're so young.
Yeah, okay, yeah, shit. I can't help it. I ain't old, okay?
What you trying
But
to say?
well, Jan, you're not old, just Greg is. But walking in there and everything being alphabetical
Oh yeah.
order,
Yeah.
and then you rush to find what letter that it starts with, and you may not always find it, but the fact that you took a chance to go over there, and even if you left disappointed, it was still exciting because you had to go. You might have been looking for a W, and they had a bunch of different W's, and you not find what you want.
Yep.
But I mean, I always thought that was cool. That's just what I remember as a kid.
Well, put a pin in that because that'll be a whole episode on that.
I still like thumbing through the albums when we go to antique stores.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's still fun, like Chris explained.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So all right,
Yep.
Chris. Well, we're gonna say goodbye to you now because I got one thing left to talk about, and we're wrapping it up. So, but thanks for calling in. So
Thanks,
This
Chris.
keeps you.
Technically, you
This
call
keeps
me.
your
so, yeah.
streak alive as being on all 5 of the podcasts. So me and you're the only 2 that can say that. So
Score.
all right,
All right. Well.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night.
all right,
Go
you do.
Ducks.
All right.
Peace
See ya.
out.
Bye.
Okay, that was Chris. So we kind of got off topic there, but let's one last thing. I had a couple more, but well, I'll run the last 2 right here. Okay, Chi-Chi's, and the reason I put that on there is because in Hickory that was a fancy Mexican restaurant. I don't even remember us having really many actual Mexican restaurants, but Chi-Chi's was like the national chain, like the Chi-Chi's. I don't even remember really eating there, but you would see it, and it was like that was it's where the rich people go to eat Mexican. But I don't think Mexican was that big a deal in the 80s as it is now, Mexican restaurants, especially not in Hickory, North Carolina.
And you're making me think about Max's in
Oh,
Hickory.
God, yeah.
Was
Max's.
that there in the 80s?
Yeah, it was. But it's more Tex-Mex. It's like, I guess back then, though, people consider that Mexican. But, then you get real Mexican restaurants, you realize this is not real Mexican.
Right.
People went to Max's for their $1 margaritas on Tuesday nights. So good.
Oh, yes, it was.
I drank, but I don't, so. Yeah. So, but speaking of Chi-Chi's, I was looking. It was first started in 1976 in Minnesota, and by 1995 it had over 200 locations, and now they have none left. It is a brand for stuff, grocery store stuff. So the last one we're gonna do tonight, this is as a man in the vending industry, this is one I had to put on here. Can you think of a soda that hit big in the 80s that you don't see anymore now? It really only had one flavor that was popular.
No.
Jolt Cola.
Yeah, I never drank that.
Really?
No.
I guess it was more aimed toward guys anyway.
Well, one, I didn't get many soft drinks.
Yeah. But this would be by the time you're out driving, though. It didn't really hit till 85. It wasn't created till 85. So, you just stopped at a store, which I'm sure you stopped at a store at some point
Yeah.
when you're out driving. But I would get it sometimes before band practice, but, it didn't taste as good as Coke. But the whole thing with Jolt Cola, created in 1985, the slogan was all the sugar and twice the caffeine, which made me laugh because I remember that slogan. And you buy it and you swear you're all, jolted. Oh, man, this thing's getting me wired.
That's probably why I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Because I was
yeah.
afraid of it.
But it got me to researching, 'cause we sell a lot of energy drinks in vending. I drink a lot of energy drinks. So, the all the sugar and twice the caffeine, I looked it up. A 12-ounce can of Pepsi back then, let's say 86, had 38 milligrams of sugar in it. I mean, caffeine in it. Caffeine's what I was measuring by. So Pepsi had 38. Jolt had 71 milligrams. So that seems like it's a big, wow, it is almost double. But 71 milligrams, a 12-ounce can of Red Bull now is 114. So it really wasn't that bad compared to what energy drinks are now. I think the sugar was probably more, more of a detriment to you than the
Yeah,
double.
but back then it was a lot.
Yeah,
By today's standards,
it
it's
is.
not.
But I'm doing that by 12-ounce can though. People were buying 16-ounce bottles of Pepsi then. There's probably close to 70 milligrams of caffeine in it then. So it was definitely a great gimmick, and I've read they're trying to bring it back, but you can still buy it like as novelty stuff. But I think if they was to bring it back now, it'd have to be as an energy drink because people would just not be, you're pushing that, be like, why am I going to drink a cola with 80 milligrams of caffeine? Big deal. I'll just drink a Red Bull.
Just the retro aspect of it
Yeah.
might would get them some sales.
Yeah. I know we sold in vending when they brought Crystal Pepsi back for a little bit. We sold a lot of it from the retro just because people wanted to say, hey, there's Crystal Pepsi again. But, well, we've been at this for almost 40 minutes, and I was going to keep it around 30 minutes, but, it's been a good topic tonight, and there'll definitely be more episodes on this because there's so much stuff. I mean, Chris was just rattling them off, so there's a lot I left off, and I had my buddy Chris Sisk, the Podfather. I'd asked him about this, and he rattled off. I was texting him one day. They're supposed to do this last week, and I was texting him going, "Hey, I'm gonna do a podcast on, defunct or dying brands from the '80s." And half the ones I did tonight, he named, so I knew that'd be good ones to do. But he threw out, a couple other ones, and we'll have him on. We'll do that. Have him call in and talk about something he had. But one of them that I was going to do, and I'll save it for a later one, because I have a personal interest in it. Is Rose's department store, because
Mhm.
that was my second job. And when I started there in 1990, we were competing with Walmart and Kmart. When I left in '95, we were competing with Family Dollar and the bottom level of stores. you know, we had faded in 5 years really fast. So, can you remember Roses when you were a kid?
I do remember Roses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wasn't it in the mall in Shelby?
I don't know. I
It
don't remember
was.
that.
It was, because I remember going there one time as a manager. Had to pick up something. It was I think it might have been the anchor store of the Shelby Mall, Roses. Which I have to look that up. But that'd be funny if it is.
Well, they did eventually get a Sears,
Yeah.
but I just remember Sears being out
Yeah.
of the mall.
Yeah. You have anything to add, Jan?
I
Can you
don't.
can you think of anything that you just loved in the '80s, like a store or something that's just gone now?
I really enjoyed when Mom would go get groceries and she would go in Bilo and I would go in Sky City.
Yeah, Sky City. Yeah, I bought a lot of cassettes in Sky City. It's the Hickory Antique Mall now, but I remember I can tell you a cassette tape I bought at Sky City in Hickory was License to Ill, the Beastie Boys. I bought it and the LL Cool J Bad on cassette the same day.
One of my prized possessions that I bought from Sky City back in the 80s was a Miami Mice t-shirt.
Miami Mouse.
It was a spoof of Miami Vice.
Yeah. Another one that I thought of, and we'll put this on the next one. This Brindle's. That was the fancier place
Yeah.
in Hickory. Get your sweeties some nice jewelry. You went to Brindle's to get it.
Mhm.
It's a Tractor Supply store now, which is funny. Well, we appreciate anyone listening to this, and give us a like and follow us. I hate being a person that says that because it used to annoy me to death. But hey,
Or leave a comment
yeah,
on
leave a
any
comment.
future podcasts you'd like to hear us do.
And yeah, and,
Or if you'd like for us to shut up. Either one.
yeah, we'll probably be being more of me and Jan for a while. So thank you, and until next time.
Peace out.
The pixel people.